Hey everyone, welcome to Roaming with Romer. I'm Antone Outdoors, and if you've noticed, I've been really busy putting up videos this weekend. And the reason I hadn't been doing that up until recently is I've been having a hard time knowing what to talk about. And you know, even though I'm up over 100 videos now, it has never been really easy for me to sit in front of the camera and talk like I'm doing right now. So if you see me fidget and stuff, that's my uncomfortableness with it. So if you haven't been to my channel, I have anxiety. I take medication for it, which has made it much more manageable. I'm also on the autism spectrum. I found that out 1.5 years ago, but looking back, that diagnosis completely fits and makes a lot of sense. So today I was going to talk about growing up with anxiety and autism. Now, growing up, I didn't know what anxiety and autism were, but I was dealing with them. So I made some notes over here a little bit, just to kind of talk about, some of the things I felt, growing up and I experienced, and hopefully talking about this might, help some of you guys out there and let you know you're not alone. So the first thing, from a very early age, it was hard for me to pay attention. Kind of thought I had ADHD. As I got older, started, hearing about that more. I thought maybe that's what I dealt with growing up. And that's actually why I went in to get tested to see, 1.5 years ago to see if I had ADHD, and come to find out I do not. I have, I'm on the autism spectrum, and that's part of my brain racing and can't pay attention and all over the place, So that's kind of, my brain is kind of squirrely like that. So from a very early age, it made it hard for me to learn. I was always really, really good at reading. I was advanced in reading from an early age, but other things were very hard for me to pick up. And that made school difficult. It also made it so that I ended up dropping out early and got a GED. And how I became successful in business like I was is beyond me, because I had no education to do that. When I started a company, 15 years ago or whatever it's been now, and it went really big, it went national. I was able to do that even having the mental health issues and not being on medication at that time either, but I was able to do that. But some of the things I dealt with was I felt alienated. It was hard for me to learn. I always felt I was different from the other kids. I didn't feel like I fit in. And that made it, that made it sad. I was depressed as a kid, and I just wanted to get home. School wasn't fun for me. At a very early age, I would be bullied a little bit because I just wasn't acting the same as the other kids, so I stood out, so I got bullied a little bit. And that happened up until probably 6th grade. 6th grade, something happened that changed that bullying for the good and for the bad. And what I found out was, that I could stand up for myself at 6th grade. And somebody bullied me in school. And I kind of pushed back a little bit and made that stop. And they were physically bullying me, pushing me around and stuff. And that was in 6th grade. And I went home that day after school. I was living in North St. Paul at the time. And I went home to my apartment building that my mom and I and daughter had. And not long after I got home, I got a knock on the door. And this is a story from the book too, guys, From Turmoil to Triumph. You can check out a copy if you follow the link down below. But about an hour after I got home from school or whatever, a large group of kids showed up at my door. And there was this group of triplets that I went to school with. Andy, Matt, and Danny, I think were their names. And they were there. And it was Andy, one of the triplets, that was bullying me. And he showed up. I had stuck up for myself in school when he was bullying me that day. And he and his brothers and a group showed up at the house, and he wanted to fight. And I've never been in a fight before. And the one thing I had going for me was my grandfather, who I love and cherish, and he's been gone for a while now. I was raised by my grandparents, most important people in my life, besides my wife. But anyway, hanging out with him, I would watch boxing matches. So, I knew how to make a fist, and I kind of knew the stance, and I knew to keep my hands up to block. So I never did it before, but I kind of knew how to do it. And when he showed up that day, I had to make a decision. Somebody knocked on the door and says, Andy's outside, he wants to fight. And when I went out there and saw all these people, I couldn't believe it. I was so scared, guys. I can't even tell you. I can remember it. But before I even went out, I had to make that decision. Am I going to stay in the house and just close the door and lock it and hope this goes away, or am I going to go out there? And I don't know how I got up the nerve to do it, but I went out. And I went out there and I saw this group of kids and I was just petrified. Of course, I saw his brothers there. That didn't help either, you know. So anyway, I did it. I got in a fight. And I really gave it to him. Let's just put it that way. I really gave it to him. And it got to the point where I quit because I was pummeling him so bad. And I'm not bragging or anything. I'm in 6th grade, guys. You know, I'm not proud of being in a fight, but I'm proud that I stood up for myself and I didn't get bullied anymore. And that brought a lot of good, right? I didn't get bullied. But from then going forward, I kind of got the reputation of being kind of a fighter and tough guy. And that was bad because I ended up getting in more fights. And, you know, that wasn't good to be that way either. And I, in some ways, became a bully. You know, as well. And, you know, I found that people respected me more if I was that way. Or, you know, a little bit of fear went a long way. You know, I could get my way. I could feel better about myself, an empowering feeling. And that wasn't good at all. I look back on that and I could have handled things so much better, but I didn't know how. You know, I didn't know how. So anyway, as I got older, and started getting some life lessons and also getting my butt kicked a couple of times too, I realized I wasn't the toughest guy around. And, you know, fighting, you know, gradually stopped. And I'm 54 years old and haven't been in a fight since my 20s. So fighting has long been gone, and I've learned my lesson to treat people with respect and all that good stuff. But that was a coping thing for me. You know, that's part of the thing. I'm looking at my notes here, guys. You know, with living with anxiety and autism, overstimulation. I can get overstimulated really quickly. Noises, people chewing can just like, you know, if they're a loud chewer or if they don't close their mouth and it's really amplified, you know, overstimulating can be bad. And when I was growing up and I would get overstimulated like that, I wouldn't know really what was causing this overstimulation. I didn't realize it was the noises or this or that was causing it. You know, things in my area making noise, or lots of kids screaming and hollering and running around, lots of activity would overstimulate me, and that would bring on anxiety, and that would bring on anxiety attacks. So I didn't know anything about autism as a kid, but the autism was what was causing the anxiety and is to this day. You know, I guess that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Just wanted to let people know that, you know, you're not alone. You know, this whole thing about being on the autism spectrum and having anxiety, you know, it doesn't define us. You know, we are who we are, and, you know, it's been tough, but it doesn't define me. Didn't let that get me down. I was able to, you know, have a life, and things that probably shouldn't have happened for me, I was able to do. You know, I was able to buy a house and have cars and motorcycles, which I don't have anymore. I quit riding motorcycle a couple years back, but, you know, it's been tough. It's been a tough go, but, you know, I've flourished under those conditions as well. So hang in there, guys. If you're having some of these, you know, issues that I had growing up, you will get through it. But you have to have an open mind too and learn from things. You know, if you don't learn from them and get stuck, that wouldn't be good. Get help if you need help. Go see somebody. If you've done all the things that people tell you to do with eating right, exercising, talking to people, doing all those, and it's still not helping, then maybe it's time to at least consider medication. That's what I had to do. I got on medication. But you're not alone. And if anybody out there ever needs to talk one-on-one, I would love to talk to you. If you just need somebody to speak to, reach out to me, and I would be more than happy to help anybody out there if you just need a friendly someone to talk to. But anyway, guys, I was just thinking about some of the stories here and getting in that fight and why that happened. I'm hitting the book as I'm doing that, but it's that was the start of something different. But it's like I've got these points in my life that were about change, and that day getting in that fight was about change. And we all have changes and we all have things that happen in our life, and we just got to learn from them. Hey, on a side note, guys, check this out. If you haven't seen it already, that is Roamer. My channel's called Roaming with Roamer. This is my 1987 Volkswagen Vanagon. It says wander more, worry less. And there he is, looking all really badass and stuff. So these will be for sale soon on a website called roamingwithroamer.com. It's just a store that'll have a few shirts and t-shirts and stuff. It's not up and running yet, but it is coming. So keep your eye open for that, and we will see you all in the next video. Take care, guys.